Sports presents the American Le Mans Series. From Road America, it's the Generac 500.
Well, Marty, whilst the summer has certainly been sweet for the Penske Porsche boys, it's been anything but for the Audi camp. They're in a winless drought that dates all the way back to March for Alan McNish and all of the Audi drivers. This has been a constant source of frustration for you, mate. How important is it for you to turn the tables here today on the Porsche camp?
Well, it was important in qualifying because this circuit does suit the R10 TDI, it suits the diesel power, and when you get an opportunity you've got to take it, especially over the competition with Acura and Porsche pushing so hard. The race is a long one, it's 4 hours, and that strategy side does play into their favour a bit, so we don't really know how it's going to turn out, but we hope we've got the speed and the capability.
Alan McNish from Dumfries in Scotland.
I'm Dino Capello from Santo Stefano Belbo, Piemonte, Italy.
Hello, I'm Romain Dumas. I am from ALMS in south of France.
Hi, I'm Timo Bernhard. I'm born in Hamburg, South Germany.
Jan Magnussen from Roskilde, Denmark.
Hi, I'm Johnny O'Connell from Flowery Branch, Georgia.
I'm Jaime Melo from Brazil.
Hi, I'm Mika Salo from Helsinki, Finland, currently living in Monaco.
There's the 3-car, the Corvette, being held on pit road.
There was some confusion in the number 3 Corvette as to whether or not they were supposed to pit for fuel during that recon lap. So they were given the choice of going out with a light fuel load or pitting now. But as a result, they fueled, but they're going to have to start from the end of pit lane at the back of the pack, and they don't get the benefits of that pace lap. So they're going to have some time to make up.
And the green flag is in the air at Road America. Hard right-hander to start off, then down the hill to turn 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of room at this racetrack, and it's a pretty easy place for everybody to get settled down, especially on the start of these races.
And with a car off the track, full course yellow here at Road America.
Watch this car right here, Luis Diaz. He's the one that really caused all this. He gets into Terry Borcheller. They go in there, and that's what really started this. And because of that, he's going to have to come into the pits when they throw the green for a stop-and-go penalty.
And he's also had problems on pit road with the instrumentation on his steering wheel not being able to read that. You see the 2 Audis up front. McNish in the 1 car, Werner in the 2.
Green, 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 green.
Back to green on this 4-mile course. Winning margin here 1 year ago, 0.4 of a second.
It's like Briscoe's taking a look on the inside of his teammate.
Field with a nice move on the restart.
Field got both Penske's right there.
Lap 37 car. There was a little conversation between those 2 teams during the caution as well. There's the 15 car. Luis Diaz to serve the stop-and-go penalty for the contact in the opening turn on the opening lap. See the different colors on the ticker at the top of the screen, indicating the different classes, 4 classes on the track.
That was a nice move. That was the 7 car. Dumas making the pass on Field.
Contact there. So it appeared. The Flying Lizard Motorsports Porsche, Johan van Overbeek at the wheel. They were battling for the lead in class.
Yeah, it was a great race between him and Salo, and then Salo got by him.
Well, the championship leaders, Johannes van Overbeek and Jörg Bergmeister, are now in pit lane. Big drama here. Johannes claimed that Mika Salo had bumped him out of the way. What a great championship season these boys are having. They haven't finished outside the top 2, barring an incident at Long Beach, but major damage there to the left front wheel.
On top of all the issues for Van Overbeek, a stop-and-go penalty for the 45 Porsche. For contact on the track.
Oh, there is a problem.
An issue for Alan McNish.
Make sure we don't have any damage.
Overall race leader.
Alan McNish brings the number 1 Audi down pit lane, about 37 miles an hour, 60 kilometers is the speed. The key is the experience of the driver getting the car back without suffering further bodywork damage. The first thing they'll do is top him up with fuel. I don't see any excessive bodywork damage back here on this left rear corner. The key will be, did Alan get touched? Was it gravel that cut down the tire? Very rare to see a Michelin tire go down by itself.
Okay, here's his teammate. He sees the smoke. Slows down, he sees the tire. That's a sight to see.
Yeah.
Tire in the middle of nowhere, nobody's around. There he is, and McNish up front.
So you think he felt it before it happened?
I think he felt it way before it happened. And Alan did a really nice job. He knew something was wrong.
The 2-car pitted as the race leader. This is Marco Werner.
Well, there's a few furrowed brows down here at Audi, even though they've got a very strong race car here today. They're having a bit of a problem during these pit stops, that the engine's really not far into life immediately. They're losing a second or two there. Also, that tire that went down on the #1 machine, they had a similar failure in a practice session earlier this weekend. Meanwhile, Alan McNish, who certainly went off sequence, is now in the lead. So he may be saved by this rain. If we get rain and everyone hits pit road, that'll put him back on the same sequence as everyone else, obviously, and still put him in contention for the win. So even though they've got strong race car, there's a lot going on down here with the Audi camp.
Well, you guys mentioned the problems with Ryan Briscoe. Here's what happened, Bill. On the track somewhere, Ryan said, I've got a problem. Something's wrong with the front nose. Well, it turns out he had gotten a body part from another car into the front splitter here of his Porsche. So they had to come in. They were able to pull the body part off. They had a new nose out there that they were going to put on if they needed to. Did not need to do that. But Ryan Briscoe is out there without the bottom part of his splitter right through here. That will certainly hurt the aerodynamics of that 6 car. They were able to pull it off on the pit stop, though. That was much quicker than having to replace the entire nose.
The Generac 500 at Road America under a full course yellow for rain. And I mean heavy rain, heavy downpours, lightning in the area. Several cars have been on and off of pit road. Our NBC Sports race team drying out at Road America. We've been under the caution for a little over an hour and 2 minutes for torrential rain that has soaked this track. We are less than a lap from going back to green. Several things have occurred under this caution. Oliver Gavin getting out of the car after being in for just over an hour, apparently having trouble with carbon monoxide. Now, because the cars were going slow, all the cars were bunched together, the carbon monoxide coming into the car. An update from Kelly.
Bill, when Gavin got out of the car, he was complaining of being lightheaded, said he couldn't focus. Now they're giving him oxygen back here in the pits. And as you mentioned, because he hit that 1 hour mark, he doesn't have to go back in the car. So if need be, Olivier Beretta will stay in there.
Waiting for the green flag to go back in the air at Road America.
Ooh, the Audi gets a great start. Gonna take the lead. Yes, he will. Wow, that was a great start for McNish.
Once the green flag comes out, you can pass all you want.
Yeah, you don't have to wait until you get to the flagger to start passing. So McNish really anticipated that nicely.
Now here's why we are under the caution right now. Not for weather, but for this car, the 8 car. Got stuck in the gravel pit and then a little bit of fire on board. Ben Devlin was in the car. Then they towed him out of the gravel trap, waiting for the green flag to go in the air. And there it is. Some of these drivers that have been in the car since the start of the race have about 15 minutes before they must be out of the car.
Yeah, when these guys when they come back in, they're going to be, putting the slicks back on.
And Bill, I was going to tell you about the pit stops. This caution kind of came at a bizarre time for everybody because the track's not quite ready for slicks, although as Wally mentioned, the rain tires are starting to heat up a little bit. And the teams couldn't quite go all the way to the end on the fuel. If they came to pit road that time, they would have been about 10 to 15 minutes short. So what you'll see is the Penske cars and some of the other lead cars come to pit road possibly under green in the next 10 to 15 minutes.
They're going to cut it really close here, aren't they, Marty?
Absolutely, right down to the wire. The Penske cars figured they could go about 57 minutes on a tank of fuel, and they'll have to pit with 1 hour to go, so it'll be awfully close, Bill.
Well, the problem for the Audi guys, they do not get the fuel mileage that the Penske boys do. They're only getting about 52 minutes, so they need to get McNish out with about an hour left in this race, and that means they're going to need some help with caution to not need a splash at the end of this one. So this is what the Audi camp have been talking about all of the time, with an 81-liter tank instead of 90. That really compromises their strategy a little bit in these type of situations.
Wow, that's Stefan Johansson after spinning, trying to recover.
There you see Briscoe. See, Johansson was really making a run on him. I think he just jumped on. Well, he got pinched there a little bit, and I think Johansson was trying to stay off of Briscoe.
Well, it has been a very dramatic few minutes here at Road America. All of the leaders have been on and off of pit road as we tick down to 1 hour remaining in this race.
And what the 7 team did, they took a little less fuel than they normally would, 38 seconds on the stop, because they know the Audis have to stop one more time. We're going to find out the official strategy, but it looks likely that the 7 car will have to pit one more time as well. Now there's a battle for the lead, Bill.
And the Audi takes the lead again. That's Capello, Dindo Capello in the car now.
Well, the number 1 machine was in about 7 or 8 minutes ago, Bill, and it was Alan McNish who started the race still behind the wheel. He, of course, had to get out to not exceed that maximum time limit for the driver, so they needed to pit. They could have waited a little bit longer, but they couldn't run the risk of running afoul of that regulations. So he got out, they had fresh tires, full fuel load, and a very fast race car once the track conditions are drying. Switched to the slick tires. Moments later, the 2 car was in, and Manuel Pirro stayed behind the wheel. He just took a short fuel fill and fresh slick tires, and he was back as well. So the Audis and the dry conditions earlier on, Bill, looked extremely fast.
This is on board the 62 car, the current leader in class. Jimmy Mello at the wheel. The 18 of Ralph Kellner's.
See the Ferrari guys right here, and then Ferrari will drop down.
You see the
right out in front.
The Porsche leaving behind him. So the Porsche was the leader, but the Ferrari takes the lead coming off of pit road. The GT1 story, the Corvettes. There's the 4 car with Olivier Beretta. And there you see his teammate, the 3.
Correct. You're 1 lap up. Don't worry.
Jan Magnussen at the wheel. Marty, you got more on the Maserati?
Well, as you can tell you, the car hasn't been out in 2 years, and Freddie Leinhart, the man who bought the car, just kind of did it on a whim. Came here and said, well, you know, let's go test the car on a whim. And they said, we're pretty fast, let's go race it. Why not? So we got Didier Taze to come out with him and race the car. And Raleigh, you're exactly right. I think that really surprised the Corvettes. You and I were talking to Johnny O'Connell about this morning when they came out here. They were less than a second behind them. And the car that hasn't run in 2 years, they've done an impressive job. And I agree with you. Maserati definitely has a home here in the American Le Mans Series, should they decide to stay.
Dindo Capello continues to lead. His teammate has already been on and off of pit road, as has the 7 Penske Porsche. So the question is, can the 6 car make it on fuel, and when will the race leader, the 1 car, stop?
Well, Bill, for Dyson Racing, it's been an interesting day. Leitzinger, as you mentioned, in the car now. They've had a problem with the front brakes locking up a little bit, and also some air pressure issues in the tires. They think it might be a bad sensor for the 20 car of Dyson, as you mentioned as well. They've had a problem with the transmission today. They had to actually go into the paddock, change it out earlier, and get some of that work done. But it's been a solid day for the 16 team. Leitzinger behind the wheel right now.
Final pit stop of the day for the 1 car. Capello to his pit stall.
And they are going to tires, so this is a real big strategy call right here. Put fresh rubber on it. This is going to cost him time, obviously. He will have a faster race car if he's got to chase down those Penskes.
Wow. Have to see where he comes out in relationship to the other cars on the track. And there's the 7 car.
Well, he's got a lot of ground to make up.
Did the tire strategy surprise you, Calvin?
I was a little bit, because I think if they hadn't taken tires, there was a very good chance of them staying in the lead. So it was a close call, but I have to say, Bill, in the last few events where guys have tried to double stint tires, it has backfired a little bit on them. So certainly the Audi camp are aware of that. They know what their car can handle. But we have to realize we're running at a time of day that these teams haven't practiced in all weekend long, so it's a bit of a guessing game as well.
Those are those 2 teammates.
And it was just about 8 seconds between the Audi and the Penske Porsche. So now he's going to have to run down. Now, usually they've been a second or 2 a lap quicker, the Audis have been than the Porsches.
Bernhard leading on all tires.
Now the 7 car, the Penske Porsche, continues to lead, but there is a new 2nd place car. Manuel Pirro making the move there around the other Penske car. That's the 6, Sasha Maassen.
Well, Bill, they thought they were going to be able to make it all the way on fuel in the 6 car, but these non-caution laps didn't help them out. This green flag run here at the end of the race, they were a few laps short, so they brought them in for about 4 seconds of fuel, sent them back out. Looks like they'll still finish 2nd in class today, though.
And these guys, Bernard, have been running some very good laps here. The Audis have been trying to run them down, Puro. Now it's just a matter of really catching the traffic.
Well, there's a lot of consternation down here in the Audi camp. Alan McNish is convinced that Dindo Capella has a faster car and would be able to chase down the number 7 Penske. So the two crews have been walking backwards and forwards here, talking to one another. They're saying if Pirro has anything, he has to show it now, otherwise let Dindo by.
The Audis can see him.
Yep, Timo Bernhard in the Penske Porsche, the race leader. The Audis trying to catch him, but they have been fighting amongst themselves while trying to catch the race leader. Here's our accurate move of the race, and you will not believe this. Now remember, they're also racing for first in class, but trying to chase down the Penske for the overall win.
See the crossover here. They'll race up the hill, and they're not done with each other yet.
Now Capello coming back on Perro. Calvin, what's the atmosphere, the tension with this entire team, with the frustration they've had for months?
Well, it's huge right now, Bill. Alan McNish is literally tearing his hair out. He's pacing around like a little dog here behind the pit wall, and he's just trying to politic to everyone like, we have to look at the big picture here, guys. We've got to beat that Porsche. He realizes what the boardroom is like on a Monday. Decisions have to be made here, and by duking it out between one another, they may have cost themselves enough time to chase down the 7 machine. So there's a lot of tension. There's been a lot of conversation. They're on the radios to each different pit box trying to figure out what they're going to do. But those couple of laps there where they were duking it out with one another may have cost them the chance to close this gap.
It's pretty tense because we've just, I think, lost the race just there because there's a back marker and the Porsche got round at the carousel and we've dropped about 4 seconds.
You firmly believe that Dindo was a little bit quicker. Are you surprised that there weren't team orders called into play here today?
It's not an Audi Sport thing, team orders. Yeah, it might have been beneficial, but it's not the way they run.
Audi's right there now.
Oh, and there's a pass for position there. The 2-car tries to slide and can't get it done.
And the one comes right back. Again, that's for first in class as they try and chase the overall leader.
I would say this is an upset.
One more time up the hill. Everybody thought Audi had the field covered with speed, but Penske wins at Road America, taking the checkered flag.
Well, Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas here. What a great run. Now, is this the biggest of an upset as we think it is?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, for us, it's a really good effort. First of all, we won the class, the P2 class. We extend our lead in the championship. It's the most important thing. And then the overall win is just a bonus. And it's so great. I mean, we won 4 races this year, 4 times overall. And I'm just so happy.
Dindo, how disappointing is it to not get the overall win here on Road America, which you thought would be your track?
I'm looking forward for the next races. I would say if we did not win here, I don't know how we can win in the other racetrack. That's the question.
Olivier, that makes it 4 wins in a row now for you, 7 out of 8, but maybe there's a little more satisfaction with the extra competition from Maserati.
Yeah, you're right, Kay. I mean, the Maserati was good to have them there. The car is fast. They have done a fantastic weekend. In qualifying, they were on just 9/10, which is perfect for them for the first show up. The team Corvette did a fantastic job. The crew of the 4 car did a fantastic pit stop.
Well, Mika Salo won the first 4 races of the year, but only had 1 podium since. Today they get the win at Road America. Tell me about midway through the race, that contact with the 45.
Yeah, no, I think he came and apologized after. He said he just missed his braking and he was going to hit me harder from behind, so he sort of tried to avoid and hit me on the back wheel. But a lot of damage on the rim, and I was actually lucky to survive that hit.
And a big win for these guys tonight. Ferrari wins GT2.